Okay, welcome everybody. Looks like a couple more hopping on as we speak. The number's rising, so that's great. In the meantime, I do want to pop something into the chat, and it is our visitor outreach survey. So for those participants, if you want to hop on there, that will be helpful in letting us know what we can do at IIANTA to support you through our visitor outreach program. For those who are unaware or new to our program, my name is Sierra Green. Inamoni Grasa Focus Witis, Costly Applicant Key, Sierra Green, Inwas Nimipu. I'm a Nez Perce citizen. I reside in my homelands up in Idaho. And for IIANTA, the American Indian Alaska Native Tourism Association, I am the Visitor Outreach Program Manager. And it's my honor today to have such a dynamic team to present this webinar on advancing into the international market, resources to become export ready. And so I know some of you who are on the webinar, we've had some great discussion on advancing you from maybe visitor ready or business ready into export ready. So how can we start getting international visitation to your destinations and experiences? So we have three great speakers, as I had mentioned. We have Jennifer Ackerson, Maya Howe, and Karen Ballard with us, and each of them I'll introduce once we get into their section of the webinar. Go ahead, next slide, please. So just to recap, those who may even be new with IIANTA, our mission is to define, introduce, grow, and sustain American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian tourism that honors traditions and values. And I do just want to take a moment to honor our Native Hawaiian brothers and sisters out there in Maui and across the islands who've been experiencing wildfires and the devastation that that's brought to their communities. We are working as a team to see how we can support them directly, who are relatives of our families and friends out there, as well as the greater islands community. So please continue to see ways that you can support them. The visitor outreach program. So I just celebrated my 1-year anniversary with IIANTA last week, and it has been a journey because many of you know I didn't formally work in tourism very long. So it's been a great learning experience. And I was telling the gals when we started, I'm excited for today's webinar because I get to continue to learn each and every day in this position. But for the visitor outreach program, we provide technical assistance and training through the American Indian Tourism Conference, which is coming up next month. And I'll drop some more information towards the end of the webinar on that. Go International, we have some exciting news on that as well. It's shifted to February, so more of you can attend. We did hear your feedback that having it in April when tourism was in full swing was not feasible for many of you to attend. So we took that feedback and we shifted it to February, and we'll get some information out on that as soon as possible. Webinars like this, experiential trade shows like IPW, Grand USA Travel Week, Go West, International Roundup. Those are great opportunities to learn hands-on, firsthand how to engage in the international markets, and engagement for Native America.travel. If you're not listed, I'll touch on that at the end of the webinar. Familiarization tours, which Grand USA has been a phenomenal partner of ours in hosting. We had 2 this year, one in Southern California and one in Southeast Alaska, and media outreach. And so the visitor outreach program has a whole slew of support for each of you to continue to develop yourself into the international market. Next slide, please. Okay, so we've been touching on this for many of our presentations for the visitor outreach program. And a lot of folks, when they first read the titles, business ready, visitor ready, and export ready, they think, yes, I'm export ready. But once we start to get into the weeds of things, it's like, well, maybe I'm not quite there yet. Maybe I'm in between one or the other. And so just check in with yourself and see where you're at: business ready, visitor ready, and export ready. And throughout the webinar, find the key resources that will help you move from whatever stage you're at into the next stage. And we are more than happy, like I said, the visitor outreach survey that I popped into the chat, I'll pop in there again for those who have joined since the beginning of the webinar. If you fill that out, that's helpful for us to see where you're at and how we can get you to where you want to be. Next slide, please. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Maya. Maya is with Brand USA. She's the manager for partner engagement, and she has a background in hospitality management from the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, and experience in international tourism, including her work at Discover Los Angeles and Mall of America. Maya is dedicated to fostering strong relationships between Brand USA and its partners, which includes IIANTA and all of our members. So Maya, go ahead and take it away.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here today. My name is Maya Hua, and I'm the Partner Engagement Manager for Brand USA, mostly working with partners on the west side of the United States. I do want to just give my heartfelt thoughts to our colleagues in Hawaii during this time, and that we're thinking of them. And today we'll be talking about international marketing workshop opportunities through Brand USA. Next. So what we're going to talk about today exactly, Brand USA, who we are and where do we market and how do we make those decisions, implementation of our marketing efforts, and then finally, rising together partnership opportunities through your local DMOs and with Brand USA. Next. A little bit of our role and impact in international marketing here. Next. So our mission is to increase incremental international visitation spend and market share for the United States and to enhance the image of the USA with worldwide travelers. And how do we do that? Our core marketing uses our mission as the foundational base, which brings incremental international visitors, spend, and marketing. Next. So, Brand USA, how do we market the USA? Brand USA is the national destination marketing organization for the USA. Our mission is to increase, like I said, international visitation and to fuel our nation's economy and enhance the image of the USA worldwide. 13 years ago, Brand USA was put into existence via the Travel Promotion Act of 2009. And prior to that, there was not an international level tourism organization in the USA. Since then, we've established our role in the industry, which turned into this three-legged stool that you see. On the left, the first leg is our team at Brand USA, who 100% focus on marketing the USA. On the right, the second leg is our colleagues at US Travel who advocate on Brand USA's behalf and the industry's behalf on the Hill. And the third is the Department of Commerce, who advises the policy that we adhere to and work on issues on a commercial level. Next. On the DMO landscape, the Destination Management Organization's landscape, our role is sitting at the national level. We market all 50 states, 5 territories, and DC. From there, our position allows us to create additional value and amplify the messaging of the region and the states, which ultimately support the city DMO level. And that's really where the rubber meets the road on bookings and international visitors exploring your local communities. Next. How do we do that? While using our mission as the foundational basis, we do this through 3 main marketing strategies: our global consumer campaigns, engagement with the global travel trade and the outreach with the travel trade, and thirdly, marketing opportunities cooperatively with our partners to be able to participate in. While they might be seen as 3 separate sections here, they're fully integrated and backed by airlift, consumer sentiment, and behavioral research. Next. So how do we choose what we do? Market selection process. Next. How do we select our markets? We have a market selection model, which is basically an analysis on the global travel landscape and focuses on these 4 categories: opportunity, value, propensity, and constraint. And these categories mixed in with dozens of indicators to quantify travel market size, spending power, and growth prospects, and potential responsiveness of each market, ultimately allowing us to optimize our performance and resources to concentrate our efforts in the right markets and at the right times. Next. Zooming in on consumer sentiment and behavior, this is an important parameter where we use to determine our marketing decisions. It allows us to determine what type of messaging fits the specific content we need to create, which publishing channels, targeted audiences, and which timings. We base these on 3 more subcategories: their planning preference, the market's online behavior, and then their impressions of the USA and their general interests. Next. We have an international market data dashboard, which aggregates various data sources to give a snapshot of each market. It features some of the data I just highlighted, like total arrivals, consumer sentiment, travel motivators, all the way down to booking behaviors and traveling party demographics. This is a free resource that is available on our corporate website, thebrandusa.com, under resources. Please use it and go check it out. Next. Our marketing efforts in action. Next. This might look familiar to a few of you, but generally we categorize our co-op marketing into 3 pillars. Educate, which focuses on engaging the existing buyer relationships while buying new ones, building new ones to educate on our product and with the travel trade. Inspire, which generates awareness and inspiration for consumers considering vacationing in the US. And then finally, activate, which encourages consumers' intent to book through key tour operators and OTAs. Next. I'll talk a little bit about our global trade education and enrichment. Next. We're constantly trying to stay engaged in educating the travel trade industry through our in-person and virtual events. We also focus on B2B marketing through travel trade campaigns. And one of our main educational resources we use are our Brand USA Road Trips USA, shown here. Brand USA Road Trips USA are guides that are themed multi-state itineraries that are promoted to receptive tour operators that layer in bookable product and sell as packages in their own sites. To date, we've developed 30 plus guides that are translated into 8 languages. These are accessible via our travel trade website, traveltrade.visittheusa.com. And this specific itinerary, national parks and American Indian culture, shows an itinerary through the 3 states there. Next. Inspire. Storytelling that amplifies the many voices of the USA. Our global consumer-facing website, visittheusa.com, is a trusted source for international visitors seeking travel information about the USA. Mobile-friendly and user-friendly, this page here shows an example of the state of Montana speaking about its Native American culture and history. Next. In our social media, #VisitUSA. In addition to running a global Facebook, Instagram, and new TikTok accounts, Brand USA manages market-specific social media pages for all of the markets we work in. You should tag @VisitTheUSA in any of your own social media efforts to allow us to amplify your message. This example here, go back just a sec, shows North Dakota showing its native cultures in Bismarck and Mandan. Next. Our digital asset management tool, or what we call the DAM, allows you to upload your assets for Brand USA to use. Once you give us rights and usage to your content and images, we will be able to weave them into our storytelling to amplify your messages. Next. And finally, Go USA TV. Share your stories with us. We go to our partners to learn more about the stories we should be telling. International travelers don't book a trip to come to America. They book a trip to explore your community and learn more about its cultures and experiences. So help us tell these stories and show them where they should go next. We're looking for long form video here, which is, around a sweet spot of 8 minutes. And if you have some, please submit them to me directly. Go USA TV is our connected television network played in 300 markets overseas that features premier created, curated, and licensed programming to entertain the international traveler. Please submit any videos to me to be considered for Go USA TV. Next. So finally, cooperative media campaigns that drive bookings. Next. Cooperative marketing opportunities will allow industry partners to help destinations gain their international arrivals. Through co-op programs, Brand USA can promote multiple destinations and travel experiences. By engaging partners of all sizes, there's an opportunity to highlight both iconic points of interest and small town gems. In this example here, Visit Native California is their platform to share their native story. The best thing to do is work with your city, state DMO, and Brand USA. Find out what they're doing in the international marketing space, partner with them, submit your content to them, and work with them. Next. Key takeaways: how to best partner with Brand USA. Next. So I'm going to reveal a little bit of what I talked about. The first thing to do is access industry research and trade resources. So I showed you that interactive market data dashboard, as well as Brand USA Road Trips USA. 2, submit content to be featured on Brand USA's global marketing channels, whether that's long-form video on Go USA TV, our social channels, or visit the USA.com global sites. And then 3, consider multiple partnerships with your city DMO, your state DMO, and IIANTA. Maximize value and international reach through your local tourism offices. Next. Here are some of the hashtags that I talked about today. I'm happy to answer any questions, or you can reach out to me directly and I'll give you further resources. Thanks so much.
Thank you. We do have time for some questions if there's any questions or any testimonies of folks who have been utilizing Brand USA as a phenomenal resource for global marketing. I'm really excited because there is so much opportunity for folks, to upload your content and let Brand USA use it in promoting the US. And I'd love to see all the images throughout the slides of some of our members and some who are not our members who we need to reach out to. So it's a great opportunity. And I will say, for those who've been to IPW, Brand USA is the heart of IPW, one of the world's largest travel trade shows. And getting to be right next to Brand USA is always such a dynamic place for us to be in extending Native America to the world. So if there's any questions, you can pop it in the chat or you can raise your hand. Okay, well, we will hop on to the next speaker, and if there are questions that come up, go ahead and put them in the chat, or we can take time for discussion at the end of the presentations. So our next presenter is Karen Ballard. We're honored to have Karen. She is the new acting global and tourism team leader and commercial specialist at the Boise U.S. Export Assistance Center. With an impressive history in international trade, Karen's extensive portfolio includes travel, tourism, aerospace and defense, agribusiness, and more. Her leadership roles in various agencies and committees, along with her work promoting Idaho's tourism, showcase her commitment to advancing the industry. And personally, I can say her passion for promoting Native destinations and experiences has been phenomenal to witness. So with that, I will pass it over to Karen, who can take it away.
Thank you, Ciara. Good morning. I am the acting travel and tourism team leader with the U.S. Commercial Service, as Ciara mentioned, and attracting international tourism to the United States is a real passion of mine. Prior to joining the U.S. Commercial Foreign Service, I was the Director of Tourism for the state of Idaho, as you heard, and a customer of the U.S. Commercial Service. I loved working with my local office director and her contacts overseas to raise awareness of our tourism offerings in Idaho, which included the Nez Perce, Chauvin, and Coeur d'Alene tribes at the time. Next slide. We are part of the U.S. Department of Commerce, which Maya had referenced as one of those three-legged stool legs. It's part of the International Trade Administration, which we abbreviate to IITA, and it's a pleasure of ours to be collaborating with AIANTA because, as an important and official strategic partner with the International Trade Association. In addition to our offices in the domestic field and overseas, we have a National Travel and Tourism Office, which we call NTTO, in Washington, D.C. And that's where the policy and research that Maya referred to comes from. The National Travel and Tourism Office also serves as a primary point of contact for travel and tourism issues by leading the development and implementation of the new National Travel and Tourism Strategy, which has 4 core pillars. And the most recent last 2 that I'll mention will be of particular interest to this audience. The first is promoting the United States as a travel destination, and that's done with U.S. Travel and Brand USA. Secondly, facilitating travel to and within the United States. Thirdly, ensuring diverse, inclusive, and accessible tourism experiences. The goal is to extend the benefits of travel and tourism by supporting the development of diverse tourism products, focusing on underserved communities and populations. The intent is to address the financial and workplace needs of travel and tourism businesses, supporting destination communities as they grow their tourism economies and deliver world-class experiences and customer service at federal lands and waters that showcase the nation's assets while protecting them for future generations. The fourth, which is also somewhat new for us, is the goal to reduce travel and tourism's contribution to climate change and to build a travel and tourism sector that is resilient to natural disasters, public health threats, and the impacts of climate change. The intent is to build a sustainable sector that integrates protecting natural resources, supporting the tourism economy, and ensuring equitable development. So you can see with the National Travel and Tourism Plan, we're well positioned to facilitate more travel to Indian country. Additionally, NTTO is responsible for coordinating the advice to the Secretary of Commerce for the private sector through U.S. Travel and Tourism Advisory Board. They also serve as the Secretariat to the Tourism Policy Council, TPC, which is the interagency federal committee chaired by the Secretary of Commerce, and it includes the Bureau Interior. They also serve as the principal federal liaison to Brand USA, as Maya mentioned, and they provide research and national statistics on travel and tourism to inform private and public sector decision-making. Next slide. The domestic offices of the U.S. Commercial Service are located in every state, with the exception of Wyoming being served by our Denver office. And we are in U.S. embassies and consulates in over 80 countries. My goal today is to inspire you to connect with your local office if you do not already know who that is. They are your conduit to a global network of trade professionals, including the great staff at NTTO. I will share this presentation with AIANTA, which includes links to some useful pages on our website to find your local offices, as well as NTTO's travel and tourism research that is available to you. We offer complimentary export counseling, off-the-shelf market research, and commercial diplomacy. The U.S. government considers international visitation to the U.S. an export, so we are here to help with best practices, getting paid, and high-value networking. For a modest fee, we can do customized research and business matchmaking to connect you with rewarding opportunities and relationships in your chosen markets. But first, there's plenty of free resources on our website, and I recommend looking at our Learn How to Export page, which includes links to exportu.com, a free online training resource. Our Global Diversity Export Initiative is a new feature specializing in topics and resources committed to helping underserved communities in the United States, including Native American, veteran, and women business leaders, among others, to increase their exports. The site includes e-commerce solutions, a global diversity export toolkit, links to the Rural Export Center, and Women's Global Trade Empowerment. Additionally, there is a trade finance guide that is a tool specifically developed as a how-to guide to for US companies seeking to enter new international markets and turn export opportunities into actual sales. There's also a section with tips for website globalization. I realize this can be overwhelming, but every day we help tourism businesses and destinations explore markets around the world with a personalized touch. We just need to connect. Our ultimate goal is to connect you with pre-screened qualified business partners and vet international inquiries from sources that may not be known to you, but seem interesting. Next slide. One such example of how we connect is how we worked with the owner of Nez Perce Tourism with a French tour operator interested in specialized horseback riding opportunities. 2 years ago, I was contacted by Idaho's former tourism rep in France. I'd taken him on a familiarization tour with some French horse magazine journalists way back in 2001 and introduced him to a Native American Appaloosa horse breeder. The breeder had moved out of state, and my French friend needed new connections. Fortunately, Stacia Morphin had founded Nez Perce Tourism, and she had all the connections needed to create a custom horseback riding experience for the French group. My former French representative connected Stacia to the tour operator who came to Nez Perce country when the state of Idaho worked with the Coeur d'Alene Casino Resort and Nez Perce Tourism to do a pre-FAM to international roundup being hosted in Boise. And this is just a perfect example of what Maya was talking about, where working with your local resources can really bring forth great opportunities, such as the next slide. This is the result of the FAM trip and the 2 years of work with the French tour operator. And it's done by Road Trip USA. What I have to say is it takes patience and consistency to be able to create beautiful a product like this. But once this gets going, more and more will come your way. So next slide. I wanted to share a few things about when I was a customer of the U.S. Commercial Service. Now, this is from the perspective of being a destination marketing organization. We can get much more specialized if you're actually a tourism business, but here are some things that I really appreciated working with the Commercial Service. Sometimes my budgets, my efforts to go international were questioned, and the U.S. Export Assistance Center Director would speak up on the importance of my international visitation as a third-party endorsement to my board, my leadership, my constituents, especially when it came to justifying and preserving budgets and programs with research to back it up. So if you're getting pushback as to why you're going international, there's people out there that can help you make the correct argument with research to back it up. Secondly, free consultations and country briefings from our individual commercial specialists in country who really know the markets can direct you to the best tour operators for cultural heritage and sustainable tourism. There really might only be a handful of them, so you don't have to be looking through every single tour operator, but find the ones that really specialize in what your product is and appreciate what you have to offer is a great way to go. Third, if we had created articles and press releases, we could share it with overseas interest posts for amplification, much like what Brand USA does. At the time, Brand USA didn't have the DAM set up, but I love working with the DAM. And I have to tell you, working overseas, we utilize that quite a bit with the public affairs section. So getting your materials into Brand USA's DAM is the great way of getting more and more amplification out there in the embassies and consulates. Number 4, I was always able to get help vetting international journalists or tour operators. You can certainly get some interesting inquiries coming in and you just don't know if they're legit or not. These folks can quickly figure out whether or not you've got something very worthwhile to be working with. And they can also help you figure out really great journalists or tour operators for your personal FAM trips. If you're doing them with Brand USA or with your state DMO, it's a great resource to find out who to invite. 5th was overseas posts can translate and share travel articles that are written by the foreign press. They can provide context as to the value so that you can be tracking your success in the markets with the ad value. Once I had the embassy in South Korea add subtitles to a video we'd created for a very reasonable price. I think it was a couple $100. And then they promoted that video at a local trade event for no cost. So those kinds of opportunities do pop up. 7th, I've been able to host embassy staff when they've come to the country to do a personalized FAM trip. And consider them basically you're establishing a new salesperson in a market that you'd be interested in. 8, I had some posts deliver really clever 50 state and territory promotions that were really easy to accommodate. We've got a great domestic team now that's developing social media content of various themes, and we've worked with IIANTA to create content around National Native American Heritage Month, and we plan to do so again. So please support them when they ask for content. And we also tap into what Brand USA has collected too. So they're all our partners, and we keep trying to support each other and amplify the messages that each of us do all together. So both resources feeding into them will feed into us. And then 9th, there were sometimes some non-core market opportunities for free or low cost entry. And I'll share 2 of those at the end of the presentation. Next slide. A few years ago, NTTO launched 2 new data tools. One is the Survey of International Air Travelers, Inbound Monitor, which we call CIAT, and the Inbound Market and Sector Profiles that provide annual characteristics of international visitors, who they are, where they're coming from, and where they're going, and what they're going to spend the money on. As you can see here, I've highlighted where this is, and you can go in and you can actually, next slide, look at information about overseas visitations to Indian country. Just for your information, peak visit was 2016, which is also the peak year for market share. But as you look at some of these trends, if you dig into it, some really significant jumps happened after from 2015 to 2016, and we may be on the verge of more of that as we recover from the pandemic. Next slide. You can also use the CIAT Inbound Monitor to search on markets and sector profiles. Here's an example from Germany, which gives you an idea that 79% of Germans were on vacation and 17.1% visited American Indian communities. Next slide. You can also get data by state and larger cities. Top states and city monitors show each state's rank, volume, and number change, and percentage change in share of overseas visitations. For example, in 2021, Arizona was the 16th ranked state visited. Next slide. As I've mentioned, National Tourism Office is where you're going to find some great research, but they also have a terrific newsletter. So I recommend signing up for that, and it will keep you in tune with any new research they come up with. We talked about all the really great market guides that Brand USA does for itineraries within the US, but they also actually have them on the various different snapshots of the economy and information from about 15 global markets, which includes Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland is a bundle, India, Italy, Japan, Mexico, South Korea, Southeast Asia, Spain, and the United Kingdom. And then there's Destination International's Research and Resources, which serves as a repository for past and current materials, reports, and articles on the destination marketing and management industry. Search the library by date, document type, or topic. Finally, the MDCP, Market Developed Cooperator Program, is an International Trade Administration's matching funds program that aids U.S. businesses who want to expand exports, including travel and tourism. U.S. nonprofit businesses and or associations such as IIANTA apply for funds from this program. One key element is having performance measures that can be tied to increased exports measured in export dollars. So having that kind of data is important if you're going to embark on an MDCP grant. This would be something you would do with a trade association such as IIANTA or one of the marketing consortiums that exist. So these programs typically last for 3 years, and we work very closely with the organizers of the MDC grants. There are several currently that are about to be awarded that do include tourism, and there are some in the recent past. So checking out the MDC sites is a good thing to see if you will fall into one of the current or the new ones that will be coming out shortly. Next slide. Here's some things to do. As you heard from Maya, getting to know your state tourism team and their resources is truly important. Another thing to know about is which receptive operator offers product in your region. The next would be, who is the international tourism manager at the state level? the tribal level, the regional level, the local convention and visitors bureau, or the destination marketing level. Get to know them. And finally, familiarize yourself with U.S. Travel Association programs and Brand USA programs. One in particular that I like with U.S. Travel is their toolkit for sustainable tourism. And fourth, check out if you are in a location that has a regional marketing consortium. Next slide. These are 4 significant ones for international marketing, and Travel South is everything but Florida. Capital region is Washington, Maryland, and Virginia. Great America West is Idaho, Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota, and Wyoming. And Discover New England is quite an assorted a mix there. When you get the slide, you'll be able to see in the notes all those different states. Next slide. Now we have some past events where we did webinars with IIANTA, and those are still available on demand. So I recommend checking those out. Last year we did 3 webinars, which you can find on the website. The most recent one was a deeper dive on working with partners to tell your story, which included advice about working with receptive tour operators. Other webinars featured market opportunities and challenges in the UK, German, and Italian market. Another one was about tips and tricks to globalize your website, which will actually help you get domestic lift as well on your website. Next week, we have a virtual conference, and it's not too late to sign up for the U.S. Destination Showcase, the Americas. It's taking place August 28th to September 1st, and the program will feature one-to-one matchmaking with tour operators from Argentina, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Honduras, Panama, Peru, and it costs $500 to participate. Reach out to me as soon as possible if you're interested in that. We can get you set up. And then October 11th, in conjunction with U.S. Discovery Week of Brand USA in London, the embassy in Prague, Czech Republic, is doing a hybrid event with a catalog fair or an in-person event with Czech media, tour operators, and potential corporate clients for DMOs, attractions, and service providers, which is designed to be convenient if you're going on to London from there. The last slide is just for me to thank you for the opportunity to share our resources and partnership opportunities. I've added a link to this slide that outlines our partnership opportunities. The one I'm most proud of course, is the strategic partners, which, like I said, we've just signed an MOU with IIANTA and look forward to a more robust relationship than we've ever had with them. Thanks so much.
Great, thank you, Karen. Lots of great information there. If there's any questions, go ahead and pop that into the chat, or you can raise your hand. Again, there's so many opportunities for each of your businesses to extend into the international market through grants, through probably trade shows, through online resources. All of these opportunities are available to us, and our great partners here are extending their hand to help us get into those resources and opportunities. So don't be shy to reach out. They are more than helpful in guiding you along the way. I'll just pause for a moment to see if there's any questions, and thank you everybody else for dropping in comments into the chat on other resources available. Susan with the patents and trademark, that is something that we continue to hear that folks are wanting to have some help navigating as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. We have a sister agency that is aligned with the U.S. Patent Office and Trade Office. It's called stopfakes.gov, and they specialize and work very, very closely with IIANTA on protecting intellectual property, and especially with Native American art. It's a high priority to be sure that the integrity is preserved and not ripped off. So that's another resource that comes through as well.
Okay, we'll go on to our last presenter. Again, if you have any questions, you can pop them in chat. For our last presentation, we have Jennifer Ackerson, and this is just a little bit of a preview of 2 sessions that will be ran workshop style at the American Indian Tourism Conference, which is October 2nd through the 5th in Durant, Oklahoma. at the Choctaw Casino and Resort. So we'll pop some information there at the end of the webinar. But this is just to give you some insight into what to expect at those sessions at our conference. And we have with us Jennifer Ackerson and some of her team. Jennifer is the president and CEO of Alon Tourism Solutions with over 25 years of experience across the tourism sector. Jennifer is a seasoned professional in establishing successful connections between tourism destinations and travel trade buyers. Her expertise in training programs and event planning, as well as her role in advancing New York City's tourism initiatives, underscores her profound influence in the field. So without further ado, we'll pass it over to Jennifer.
Thank you, Ciara, and thank you to AIANTA. It's a great thing to be here, so I'm very, very excited. And I'd like to say first that I feel honored to be on a panel with my fellow panelists at Brand USA and United States Commercial Service. Both of you provided so much valuable information and resources for all of us. We were talking on our pre-call to this, and we all learn from each other every day. So I love that I found myself in the education sector of our industry because we're changing. We have very dramatic things happen in our industry. And so it's all about bettering the future for all of us. And this new opportunity with AIANTA is really going to make a difference in what we provide as the North American continent as product and experiences. So as Ciara has said, I've been in business for 25 years. I am the presenter and designer of the Steps to Success program. And in 2017, we partnered together, Alon, with IITA, which is International Inbound Travel Association. My colleague and executive director of IITA, Lisa Simon, is in the audience. And it really was a very fruitful and timely coordination of us getting together, because IITA is the nonprofit travel association that you can all join, that is really made up of the US inbound operators, the ones that are on the ground here in North America that are selling to the rest of the world. And we'll look at that a little bit. You can go on to the slide, by the way, Ciara, sorry about that. The next slide, but it's these inbound operators who are able to then partner up with the DMOs, and in this case, your native communities, and the different travel suppliers that make up our communities and promote exclusively together in one place. And so this partnership of Alon Tourism Solutions and IITA has been really great to bring full circle success. Many DMOs, many native nations, all of the tourism stakeholders around the country, they're initiating to work with the travel trade and to become, situated together where they can be selling international visitors in there. But this partnership allows us to say why that's important. It allows us to say everything that's important about working with these travel trade companies. And then through IITA, because it's made up of the inbound operators, we're literally able to invite introductions between the inbound operators, the rest of the travel trade world, and all of you as native nations and suppliers and DMOs of our country. Next slide, please. And so in doing so, this program has made many available opportunities to work effectively and efficiently with the international travel trade. And we'll talk about how that works in a few slides, but it's making those connections and making sure that everything does come full circle, as I said. Primarily, the program that we'll be presenting that Ciara mentioned in these two sessions is typically positioned for DMOs to then provide for their stakeholders or tourism entities, as we call them, so that they can fast track their knowledge, right? Because a lot of us in this industry, we've learned about this industry by doing, by going, by making a mistake and fixing. And really what I've done with IITA is take this knowledge about how this industry works, the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, and the how, and fast track it into this course, which is very easy to understand, Then we provide implementation resources. So you're not just left with the knowledge of, hey, how does this whole thing work? You know, there's a lot being thrown at me through all of our organizations, but actual resources that you can take back to your communities and implement and go through the exercises. And then, like I said, finally, then there's these connections that take you to the main purveyor of inbound experiences to the United States, to North America, which is the inbound operators. So a little background on the program, just so you know how we got here. Obviously, we said that we had a partnership going with IITA since 2017, but even prior to that, Ciara mentioned that I'm based in New York, so a lot of my work is done here as a consultant. But we started a program in 2015 with NYC Tourism Conventions, which was NYC company back then. But I like to bring that up because it started as this program as Tourism Ready. And what's important about that is some people may say, well, why does New York City need a program like this, right? And it's a good question because the answer is we all need to continuously learn. Why? There is so much ever-changing landscape in our industry. Certainly since the pandemic, our entire workforce and all that talent and years of experience in the industry, lots of that is gone. So we have new players in the industry. We have innovation every single day with these different travel trade companies who come up with new ways to work together, to compete with one another. So how do you wrangle all of that and really make it work for you? But I think it's also that New York City recognized that as important as a major city as New York, we still need to honor sustainability. Part of the mission from the very beginning was to take business and move it out of Manhattan, move it out of Times Square, bring it into those far reaches of our 5 boroughs of New York, which is sustainable, right? Because it's creating this ability to let others be part of this community. And so a lot of that has to do with serving underserved communities and getting into neighborhoods where there's entrepreneurs and people who are new to this, but very passionate about an idea they have or a business they want to create that's tourism related, and we're able to move them forward through the landscape. And it's really, really powerful. Second to that, you know, we know the importance of international tourism. Visitors are spending longer. Sorry, you know it. I don't have to even say it, but spending more and staying longer. And they're looking for new experiences because they come back. So a lot of what we do in this program is talking about how to develop product and experiences for them. Just quick before I get into exactly how the program works, I just want to say that you being part of this is really, really exciting to us because I look at it as the Native Nations is the original experiences in North America and our continent, right? And we feel like this partnership between all of us that have spoken today in IITA, we're really going to make an impact that we haven't seen before, because now we're really shining the limelight on the true experiences of America and helping those smaller businesses and or communities that need it. So it's really a great thing. Next slide, Ciara. So how does it all work and what are we doing during these sessions? And again, I touched on it, but just like a little bit of a deeper dive now. So we have 2 sessions that are coming up at the conference, and one of them will be what I always call the 101, and it's the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, and the how we are working internationally and why we're working with inbound travel trade and tour operators, because there's so many reasons, and the course will reveal all of that. But remember that how we do things in America is not necessarily how another nation does it, or how someone overseas travels. So we really peel back those layers to say, hey, how does this work? What's different? And why do I appreciate this point so much so that I can make a change in my business? And that's actually fundamental. And so I always start with fundamentals. Then we'll take a deep dive into the different travel trade distribution levels, because as you start to work with the tourism market and you see the value of the B2B angle, which is the business to business, you'll see that it's very intricate. It has a huge impact, but it really has these nuances that unless you learn them by hook or by crook, like we said, it's great to have that information in advance and also to qualify them. Who are they? They said they're this or that, and how do I fit them into the scope of what I'm doing in the travel trade market? Then we lead into what we just mentioned about selling products and services and making sure that there is something that can be purchased and sold by the travel trade. And I honestly think that's the piece where everyone may get more hung up than another, because it's great to talk about our places where we're from, our heritage, our culture, but then how does that turn into a transaction between a travel trade company and your community? And so we give really great tips on that, because visitors travel in different ways. They travel as individuals, as group, and even as business travelers, or what we call MICE. So we'll really do that. And then the implementation part will kick in our second session. And that's really, okay, what's the best communication tools that I have? Because there is a method to how it works the best. How does that pricing work? Some of you may know already that all that's expected with travel trade sales is a commission or a net price. So we will dive into how that works, how you create your pricing so that it works for you, and how you really appreciate that that person is going out and selling and doing for you as is warranted for your business. And then finally, we'll close up our session with a part which is really near and dear to my heart, because it has shows the success of how we've been with this program. If Lisa wasn't on mute, she would tell you that we've seen, you know, in the different places around North America that we've brought the program to, over 20 states, that there's these success stories. And many times, they're intangible, right? Because there's this change and this transformation of how a business has succeeded and come together. But a lot of times, some businesses or communities are better suited or do better in creating their relationships and their travel trade process. And so we want you to be totally prepared operationally. And that's a key thing. We're not just saying, here's how it works, here's how to do it. But in addition to introducing you, how do you work in your business so that you are prepared as this growth spurt comes? And know that it takes time and it grows over time, but you want to be prepared for that. So that's kind of the whole shebang, if you will, about our program and how it works. Ciara, next slide, please. I will say that without the knowledge and the ability to produce what's needed in working with these B2B or third-party resellers of travel, then the measurable ROI results are not as poignant as they can be when you do have those right tactics in place. And that's why this program has been so successful. So I just wanted to share, I know we're getting towards time as well, and I just have a few more things to say, so we'll get right to it. But I wanted to share just a couple points of the things we share so that you can actually see it. I'm a visual. I like to know. I don't like to just hear. I like to see rather. So yes, we share the benefits about working with the international inbound market. I covered a lot of that today, but sometimes these points translate into an action to take, a motivation to start working towards the results of the international market. So we do really stress them. And then next slide, Ciara, is that we also mention, and this is super important since our pandemic, that a lot of you may have had extraordinary business during the pandemic or after, not in the beginning, but once we were open a bit, and you were able to see more of North Americans traveling and visiting. And, you know, we see it in all of America, but that shift is also now very important. Even in New York City, we see a lag in business in some of these properties, and they're fighting to get the business back. And part of what I believe is the challenge is that they have not paid so much attention to international because it wasn't coming back yet. But now that it is, they're not ready for it. So our program will also help everyone understand how keeping a good marketing mix all the time and knowing that things go in ebbs and flows and cyclical, that it's important not just to focus in one area, to focus in different areas, and then you can be picking up this market when this market drops and vice versa. So we talk a little bit about this, and obviously we get these slides courtesy of our partners who have spoken today. And then I think my last slide, 2 more slides, again, being, go ahead, Sierra. Being a visual person, I love to look at how this all works. So we talked about the partnership between Alon and IITA. Well, in America, in the USA, we have dozens of what's called inbound operators or receptive operators. And if you look at the funnel, they are selling to the hundreds of tour operators around the world who sell to thousands of travel agents who sell to millions of visitors. When you properly activate the nuances that we teach in the Steps to Success program, you also activate this travel trade distribution channel. That's the beauty. That's where everything comes around, because, and even though there's variation to this because there's wholesalers and online travel agencies and all different things, but this is how you get to those millions of visitors. Because I always like to say, we're not Nike or Microsoft, where we have thousands of millions of dollars to advertise to every consumer around the world. We thank our Brand USA partners that do a fantastic consumer campaign for us. But this travel trade nuance of working through B2B is how you get there. So that was just a little visual. And my last slide, keep us on time here. Thank you. Looks funny, maybe keep going. Something happened to it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I guess it's a progressive. Joanna on my team's always giving us a little bit of play with these slides. But anyway, it's not important to see, it's important to hear here. This just goes back to the definitiveness, the things that we teach that turn the action on to activate the travel trade distribution channel so that it works for your native nations and your tribal communities, so that you can really make a difference. And what I love, and I'm going to end with this, is that when you work with the travel trade and you do it properly, you also manage your business significantly, because something with the travel trade or inbound operators is that you can turn it on when you need it, you can turn it off when you don't need it. And the whole idea is never to displace good business or a time when you're already receiving good business. You want to fill holes, you want to grow opportunities, you want to grow profit over revenue. And that's what working properly with the travel trade does. It activates that ability to look at your business, see what's happening, and then turn it into metrics for success, and do it through these perfect partners that are part of IITA. So thank you so much. It was great to speak with you all today. We have 3 minutes for any last questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Maya and Karen as well. That was so much information on opportunities on taking the first step. And as I had mentioned at AITC, American Indian Tourism Conference in October, we'll have the link in the chat here in a moment for you to register and find out some more information about attending. It's our 25th anniversary, so it'll be a huge celebration. And if you've been to any IIANTA events in the past, you know that it's a great opportunity to network with your colleagues, to network within the industry professionals. And at this AITC, we will be walking through the first step that Alon offers for their Steps to Success. So if you're interested in attending that session, we will be at AITC and you can find us there. Be sure to register. You can reach out to Sherry Bowman or Bianca Mitchell, who are the ringleaders for AITC, and they do a phenomenal job at getting that coordinated for all of us to attend. If you can't wait until AITC, we do have the certificate program in cultural heritage tourism, and that's in partnership with George Washington University. And we are still accepting registrations until the 21st of August. You can see the pricing there for members and non-members. And I will just say, if you're not an IIANTA member, in the next year, we have so many things unrolling that it will be to your benefit to become a member and to get member pricing on all the things that we have coming up. So be sure to check out the certificate program there. And the last slide, if you are not listed on Native America.travel, please do so, because when I go to travel trade shows like Brand USA Travel Week in London in October, this is what we will be using to promote all of our members. And if you're not listed, it's really hard to promote you. It's free to get listed. And we have a great webinar as well that shows you how to walk through that. Our team, Gail and her team are phenomenal at walking you through how to get your listings up and how to make sure that it's attractive and gets all of the bells and whistles on your free page at Native America.travel. But again, all the resources from Brand USA, US Commercial Services, and Alon, and IITA will help you be successful in the international market. And that's what we wanted to showcase today. It was a wealth of information that you can go back and sort through all the links. What I'm going to do is pull from this a simple guide, just a guide from just the information shared in this webinar, so folks can go back and visit those links. Here's some of the key points that were shared throughout the presentation. And so we will get that out by the end of next week to you, so you can continue to build yourself in the international market. So again, please continue to reach out to our IITA team. If you haven't yet, take one moment to fill out the Visitor Outreach Program survey. That will let me know how we can help you at IITA to continue to advance your business. So with that, I don't think we have any time for questions, but we will hang on just a couple of seconds for any comments in the chat. And thank you all for attending. For those who were unable to attend or join late, we'll have the webinar recording out shortly. So Hatsiyayo, everybody, thank you. Thank you to our wonderful speakers. And I look forward to seeing you all soon, either at AITC or Brand USA Travel.
Thank you, Ciara. Bye-bye. Bye,
you.
everyone. Thank you.